listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Merry Christmas! I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host, Sean Sebastian, and Mr. Antlers. We got Rudolph.
Klaus is in our area. He has arrived with the Fräulein Klaus. Displeased to see them both and their evil ways. Look at him.
He stole her
around.
flame. Her flame has been waiting to be lit, and he took her thunder.
It's because this year, Klaus is going to steal the souls of the children all on his own.
He is waiting.
He has slapped and backhanded Fräulein Klaus. He said, "Nein! The souls of the children are mine." And he banished her down into the pits of hell, where her flame has gone out, as she herself is engulfed in eternal damnation.
There she lies.
Look at him.
Just like us in does that mean we're in hell?
In the lake of fire.
I would just realize that. That means we're in hell with them.
She's in hell. That's why she's
She's here.
No, she's lifeless
Gotta
and her
raise this
flame's
up.
out. That's just a husk.
Does it keep dropping?
husk.
It's just
No,
a
no,
husk.
it's good.
I liked your
It's a husk.
decoration there at the beginning.
Oh,
that was
this?
nice. Yeah.
I can leave that.
I like that.
Gunther
Little
does
sentence.
approve of tonight's review. There
He's-
is a very excellent documentary we are going to see. It highlights Santa Claus and his accomplice. People don't know, but Santa has an accomplice, and we will get to see tonight.
We will see
We do have another naughty Christmas
His
review.
evil
his
counterpart.
evil friend.
No, not
From the
counterpart.
depths
But it
below.
says it's his accomplice.
Santa.
Oh.
Who?
You know who. Don't speak his name. yet.
Santa's accomplice.
Everybody already knows.
According to
Krampus.
Gunther.
Santa
Krampus.
is a.
Santa's evil.
He is a friendly spirit.
Oh my gosh. Nine! Santa is evil! He is evil and he has friends that are just as evil.
He's a fraud, I tell you. He gets everybody thinking that he is nice, but he's not.
But outside of our naughty Christmas review, we also have Spider-Man.
Of course, the big one on the block. But I want to give a special
everybody's
shout out.
excited about that.
For one, thank you, sir, for the wonderful Christmas present that you gave us tonight. Was not expecting that. Thank you, Mr.
I was.
Cheatham.
It's like,
Oh,
God,
Sean-
we've been together for how long? We've gotten each other a Christmas gift every year.
Well, then I should get more than a
Yeah,
cigar.
yeah.
I'm just
Well,
saying.
I mean, I got gifts. Sean got gifts. Where's your gifts?
It's right here. It's this show every single
Oh,
week, every
that's true.
Tuesday night, live,
We love you.
9 p.m. I share it with all of our listeners.
We're
going
gonna
to
get paid from now on.
Anyways,
We're
continue
still
with
working on
your,
that budget. But no, I also want to give a shout out to Mr. Logan Arnold, who's turning 32 today. He's
Nice.
one of another great friend that I've had for a long time, ever since the good old middle school days.
Today is
32.
So Merry Christmas and happy birthday,
It's
Mr.
all
Logan Arnold.
downhill
I
from
would
there.
like to also give a shout out. It's not today, but tomorrow is my Faja's birthday.
Faja.
Faja.
So, yeah.
Raja Faja?
Yeah.
Yo,
Raja
Raja
Faja. Poor man sitting at home with two cut up knees. So
I was gonna say he's
He's,
recovering nicely
he's
from
got
his surgery.
He's got new knees.
This
Yeah.
one it hasn't hurt him as much as the previous one, but it's still now he has two not fully healed knees that he has to walk on. So
But the thing
while
is
the pain's not as bad, he can't move around as easily as he could.
and
with the
in
first
a few
one,
months,
so.
he's going to be playing basketball
I'm
like he was
saying.
in the NBA. I'm just
Yep.
saying. He's going to be jumping around like crazy.
They gave him
Told
those
him.
cadaver knees.
Yeah,
It's
the
like
cadaver knees.
titanium, like on the space shuttle.
Mm.
You know, Lieutenant Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. All right. But I also
story.
want to thank my good neighbors, Kristen and Brian. I know that I didn't show your old cigar that you gave me, along with the bourbon
gifts.
glass and a tumbler for
Yeah.
coffee and hot beverages, and some peppermint bark that I
yeah.
already ate.
Yeah, that peppermint bark's going to be great. I
yeah,
haven't eaten mine yet, but
It was good.
great.
It was very good.
I might go home and use that.
You know what?
bourbon glass tonight.
I've been waiting. I have not.
I'm gonna use that tonight. I gotta work
Actually,
tomorrow.
I do have some eggnog.
He's ready.
I can pour it into that. Pour some eggnog in
Bourbon
there.
eggnog.
There you go. Ooh,
They
that
call
actually,
that begnog because you'll be begging for
No,
more.
that's what eggnog's made with. Is traditionally bourbon.
Well,
what?
see, I didn't
It
know
is? I did
I
not
don't
know
know
that.
nothing.
They have
about eggnog.
alcohol-free eggnog that people make, but traditionally, like,
I have
eggnog
never
is,
been a fan of eggnog. It always
No.
looked good, and
No.
especially in the movies.
It's
I don't
I've
like
never been a fan.
alcohol-free
Yellow
eggnog,
milk
but that
is what
bourbon
it looks like.
makes that
Yes.
perfect. It gives it that perfect. It makes the blend to where like the taste and the sweetness just hits right. So
But I also
it's like a milkshake with bourbon.
I don't know.
great.
I've only tasted it like twice in my life, and each time I've tried it, I just never
Yeah.
I never
No.
go back. Or he's
gotta
already
put your
had his.
bourbon-
You have to
peppermint
have
bark.
to
Oh, I
really
did. I did, when we were
experience
making
it though.
gingerbread houses,
You
I
have
had
to
some
drink it
bourbon
out of a
eggnog.
moose mug,
Yes,
like
exactly.
like
And
the
Chris-
Griswolds.
Yeah, Christmas Vacation.
They
It's
have-
one of
they
the
have
greatest
pre-made
Christmas
now. They
movies
have,
ever made.
True.
Old Number 8 and Evan Williams both make like eggnog that you can just buy with their bourbon already in it. Like
Ooh.
just you buy it.
I mean, if he tumbles,
You go into a
it's-
liquor
it's
store.
okay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's better
We'll
right
do it
there.
a little lower. so
Evan Williams is usually the most popular, like widespread. Like you go in and buy a Evan Williams.
Old
eggnog.
Evan.
Really?
Mhm.
I'm not a fan of Evan Williams.
I'm
though.
not either, but you're mixing it with something.
True.
so,
that,
yeah.
that could help it.
Yeah.
That's true. Take the
It's
cut.
like if you're gonna make a bourbon and Coke, yeah, you could use expensive bourbon, but then you're just kind of wasting the bourbon.
But all right, guys. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. We hope everybody has a wonderful holiday
Yes.
week leading up to Big
It's this
Daddy
weekend.
Jesus' birthday on
Saturday.
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 Bake him a cake, whatever you got to do. Go caroling. Happy time,
I'm
Christmas.
excited. I'm excited. We have a few other things to
Christmas. Everybody loves Christmas.
We have a few
Sorry,
other things
Keith.
to get to first. No, I was just gonna say we got reviews.
We do.
Two
Yeah.
reviews.
We got some
headlines,
big reviews.
Story time.
I think Spidey, we've
It's
waited
the
long
biggest.
enough. We also want to throw out, before we play our review, there's no spoilers in the review.
No.
None. The audio, video version, you can watch our review, no spoilers. The discussion afterward
Yeah.
will probably contain spoilers.
It's-
We'll
it's gonna
try our best, but it's going to be very, very hard.
I don't even know because I don't even think
You're
we're
just
gonna be
gonna-
able to.
Yeah,
No.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's
No.
fine. Keith,
I'm too excited.
I need you got to raise the mic a little bit. I want to see, I can't even see where the reindeer
That's
antlers
your
Yeah,
fault.
it's- if
you
we-
should have got something that didn't
To,
stick
get,
up so
to
high.
capture the top
There
of
you
our
go.
heads, we have to do that.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, all right, Keith. That's oh, actually, the
It's
ears
like I'm
are
hiding
just
in the
great.
bush.
Hey, what are you doing, little boy?
Giving you presents.
Back it up a little. There we go.
Come
There
and
you
get
go.
my snowman.
There we go.
I got free
It's your
puppies,
fault
too.
because instead of buying hats that everyone could see, like you
Yeah.
did for yourself, you bought these things
I'm
that stick
sorry.
up past the camera.
I did.
I'm used to you usually pointing at me to like lower it.
I was
so
a
now-
little selfish in the
Well-
season of giving. I took the cat.
Oh
I'm
well,
sorry.
we're
I
on the
took
wide
hat.
shot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys, let's do it. Let's go to our review of none other. We've all been waiting for it. Oh, he's adjusting. Now you can see him.
No, I just realized that this whole time I've been not wearing. My headphones have been around my neck.
Oh, I didn't even notice. That's the sad thing.
No.
Alrighty, guys, but yes, we've been waiting. It is finally time. The big one on the block. Here is our review of Spider-Man. Spider-Man! No Way Home.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe has grown into something bigger than anyone could have imagined when Iron Man released in May of 2008. And though Iron Man was the springboard which launched the MCU would not exist as it does today without the stepping stones that came before. Comic book movies have not always been a sure thing, and many today still fail to craft comic book films that capture audiences in the way the MCU does. While there were plenty of successes before Iron Man, such as Blade or the first X-Men film, none had the success or shaped the look and feel of comic book movies the same way as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man released in 2002. Nearly 2 decades later, and Marvel and Sony have released the third film in their Tom Holland-led Spider-Man series, a film that for a brief time nearly didn't happen after the falling out between Sony and Marvel Studios. Though the two came back together to keep Spidey in the MCU, using him to help launch the MCU's multiverse. With the multiverse came a whole sandbox of toys for Marvel to pull from, and just as promised in the film's trailers, we see Spidey face off against the most dangerous villains to be showcased across previous Spider-Man franchises. While all the familiar MCU faces such as Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jon Favreau, and Marissa Tomei return, also back for another go-around are Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, Jamie Foxx as Electro, Reese Irfin's Lizard, and Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman. After seeking the help of Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange to make everyone forget he is Spider-Man, Peter Parker develops cold feet, and his attempts at altering who does and does not know his secret creates a rift through which multiple characters from multiple universes cross over into the MCU. Now Spider-Man must track down and recapture each displaced rogue before causing catastrophic damage to reality. Spider-Man No Way Home is an entirely new kind of ambitious for Marvel. Much in the vein of the first Avengers film and then ultimately Infinity War and Endgame, No Way Home brings to life the multiverse idea from the comics by creating a massive crossover of IPs. Though instead of being multiple franchises thrown together into one massive franchise like the Avengers, Marvel is now crossing over characters from past and present adaptations. While DC has beaten Marvel to this idea with their Crisis events in the CW, Marvel narrows the focus to just the Spider-Man films, rather than past incarnations of every character they own. And it's this tighter focus that creates something much more satisfying, as it's the tighter focus that allows for better emotional payoff. While the movie's pacing starts off rather rocky and fast, once the film hits its stride, it's a joyful ride. Tom Holland has cemented his place as the Spider-Man of the MCU and truly exudes the rookie aspect of the character while growing into the potential we know the character has. As with any Marvel film, No Way Home is rife with humor, some of which is terrific and some of which fails to land. Going beyond the humor, No Way Home actually offers a solid amount of emotionally gratifying scenes, something that Marvel isn't always the best at. All the actors involved nail their characters, but of course the most impressive are the returning villains, with Dafoe and Molina showcasing exactly why they are still everyone's favorite Spider-Man villains to hit the screen. Neither miss a beat. Even Jamie Foxx, whose Electro was criticized for the writing and direction he was taken, shines, showing us how wasted Fox was in his own film. No Way Home takes the tough task of culminating all of the Spider-Man storylines from the MCU while also being a culmination of past Spider-Man films, and does it well, giving wonderful send-offs to each character pulled from the Sam Raimi and Mark Webb films, even redeeming more poorly received aspects from Raimi's Spider-Man 3 and Webb's Amazing Spider-Man 2. The film offers fan service in the best way possible, giving fans what they want while also using it to serve the story. And while I won't spoil anything from the film, fans of Raimi and Webb's Spider-Man films will not be disappointed. For a movie that very nearly didn't happen, it feels fitting that Spider-Man No Way Home ended up being the ultimate culmination of Spider-Man's history on the silver screen. I give Spider-Man No Way Home 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow. 3.5?
Yeah.
After all the crap that we've been given all these other films.
I think that might be the first 3.5 I've given
mean,
this year.
No, absolutely. I really do think it is. It's like
I've given 3s, but I don't remember.
I think this is one of the more highly rated movies. And here's the thing. I think I remember you telling me this after you got done recording. You were just like, I was going to give it 3, and I was like, I actually enjoyed this film more than anything else I've seen this year. I gave it the half star.
Yeah.
And I was like, I completely agree, 100%.
It does what it set out to do pretty perfectly. I mean, not perfect. I didn't give it 4, but the fact that it was meant to invoke all this nostalgia, the fact that it throws back to both Sam Raimi and Mark Webb's movies and wraps up, like, kind of puts a bow on some of those things.
Yeah,
I think is what just makes it so good to me is that it really does like kind of wrap up some of the things they started with Tom Holland and put him in a place to continue on in a different way while also putting a bow on some of the past franchises. So I was just impressed with that.
It feels like because of especially with the Amazing Spider-Man films, I feel like those are the two that are kind of just completely lost in people's minds. A lot of the times people jump from Sam Raimi, which I still think the first Spider-Man is better than all of them, but Tobey Maguire is just, I thought he fit that character even better than Tom Holland in a lot of ways. But sometimes those movies get written off now that we have the MCU
Yeah,
and that we
yeah.
have Spider-Man as a part of that. This movie does such a good job to make those films much more relevant.
Yeah.
And like you said, that they kind of put a bow on everything, and I feel like it does good by Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield that their films are no longer kind of irrelevant when it comes to Spider-Man today.
Well, I mean, so much. I was going to say so much so now that there's rumors swirling around. People are hoping Andrew Garfield gets a third Amazing. They think because it's like if there's a multiverse,
I don't know about that.
If there's a multiverse, why can't Sony make that movie and Marvel continue making their Spider-Man
Because here's the
movie?
problem: Sony would be making it. I mean that really. I have to say that's the reason why this one worked.
Yes,
this one worked because I mean, again, let's take it back to your review and also what Tom Holland has said. I mean, he was the one that single-handedly, when the ashes were falling after the incendiary. I don't even know what I was saying.
everything went up in flames.
Everything went up in flames, like freaking Klaus.
And Tom Holland was like,
yeah, well, Sony and Marvel, which granted, we all talked about it at the time about this is probably them just hashing out a deal. But ultimately, we were all worried because we didn't know what the fate of Spider-Man was going to be in the MCU. And we knew that Sony held onto the property and that so far they had played nice with each other with Marvel. And it's like, but are we at a loss? Is this it? And thankfully, they came to the table, they shook hands again, and we got what we got, which is, yes, it is a nostalgia trip. And I will say, I'm not going to give it 3.5. I gave it 3. But mainly because of the first half of the film, which I get. This film is not for that first half. The first half of this film is really just to set up the premise of the overarching plot of Tom Holland in this universe, and basically the aftermath of Far From Home. Yeah. But ultimately, the latter half of the movie, the entire second half of the film, is purely for Spider-Man films, or Spider-Man, the Marvel Universe, but the fans that love Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. And they do such a great job of bringing, I mean, there is one specific conversation in the film, and it's a dialogue scene that I don't want to give too much away. Yeah. But it brilliantly ties all of the different Spider-Mans that we've seen together.
Well, I think that's why I gave it the half star, is because there are a couple emotional beats in this movie that really did hit me. Yeah. And Marvel doesn't do that often. I mean, they have Endgame or Infinity War had some decent emotional scenes, but when you look at the 20 some odd films they have, there's only like 2 or 3 that really hit, I think, those emotional beats. And I felt this one was the best out of all of them as far as hitting emotional beats. Like I felt really there was more emotion in this with certain scenes that there had been in any other Marvel MCU movie. So that was the thing that kind of pushed me towards the extra half star, was that I actually did have some feeling going in or coming out based on a couple of scenes. So
yeah, no doubt. I mean, I would also echo too that it just felt rushed in the beginning. Yeah. And again, that was, I know you mentioned that in the review, and I couldn't agree more. I knew what they were kind of setting up, and you could tell that they were almost, by the end of the film, you could tell when they slowed things down, the first part of the film was just to try to just get you started.
I honestly, and I was going to say, I know it's already a 2 hour and 40-minute movie, but I honestly feel like they could have a little bit longer just to flesh some things out. And I know it's like it's not Endgame. They didn't want to hit that long. They didn't want to hit that 3 hour mark.
No, it didn't.
But at the same time, it's like, no, it's not Endgame. You don't want to hit the 3 hour mark, but it's still like massive Spider-Man. People will sit that long for something that huge for Spider-Man.
Well, yeah. I mean, Endgame was a culmination of 21 or 22 films.
Yeah, but
this was a culmination of 9.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, basically. So, well, no.
That's a great
8.
way to put it.
But yeah.
I mean, it is, because you don't, and it's funny because I've seen this meme going around of Jim Halpert and his typical whiteboard, meme, but he's like,
oh yes,
this film is, or these films, and he's talking about the Tom Holland films, are great because of these films, and it shows the other, Spider-Man films, and it's minus Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Hey, it was on that board.
I know it was, but I think I even said that when I said that to you. I put minus that one.
Hey, they even poked fun of it in the movie. I love Jamie Foxx.
Oh, yeah.
His whole, you got to watch where you fall. That was it was great. I mean, they poked fun of it a little bit.
And honestly, that is what I took away from the film. This was a fun film, and it really fit in the vein of what Spider-Man is in terms of its lighthearted nature. And they really do keep that throughout the whole film up until the very end, which is very, I would say, heart-wrenching and very much worth. It's a payoff. It's a definite payoff to the character of Spider-Man, but also everybody who knows and has followed this character from all the different iterations of Spider-Man. And it's no doubt worth the hype that it's getting from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're going to get into a little bit of the controversy coming up in our headlines segment surrounding the film and whether you are appreciative of the success it's had or not. But no doubt, fans turned out to see this, and they're continuing in droves. To go
Well,
see
I mean,
it.
like I said, I'm 3.5. You said 3. What was your official?
I was 3.5.
3.5.
I was 3.5 when I walked out.
Yeah, really?
There was no doubt. Yeah. It was the best Spider-Man movie other than the first, but I enjoyed. I don't know. I was entertained by this movie more. Than
I would
Sam
put
Raimi's Spider-Man.
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 to me is the best. then his first one, and then I would put this one right after those two. Honestly, so
yeah, I'm still sticking by my tried and true. Tobey Maguire is my favorite, but obviously Tom.
Both of his first two movies above this one.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying, like in terms of Spider-Man, I would say Tobey Maguire still because he was the first.
He was original.
And honestly, it's like he launched.
Well, and
whether they believed it then or not, and whether they thought this was going to be a thing,
and I think this
which
film
they didn't.
pays perfect tribute to that too. The fact that he was the first.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
He
Absolutely.
is. I mean, he's kind of given the mantle of being the one who's wise and the one who's the most seasoned.
Yes.
And I appreciated that they gave that to him.
I mean, both. I think both of them they gave good arcs. So even Andrew Garfield. I mean, I think they for all of them they kind of set them up as what they were kind of best or well known for and their position as Spider-Man. And I loved that it did kind of acknowledge each of them for like the part they played in Spider-Man's history.
I mean, you've got to think about the writing of this film and the brilliance of bringing, because like we've talked about, they had no idea it is almost 20 years ago that that Spider-Man came out. I think it was 2002, wasn't it? Or was that when
2002?
Yeah, the first one.
So it's amazing that back then
20 years.
they had no idea. Sony had planned on Tobey Maguire being Spider-Man.
Right.
And then it's like then they switch gears and go to the Amazing Spider-Man, and even then they had no idea that the MCU would encompass Spider-Man again. Like they just really didn't plan for this, but to write this as well as it was and piece everything together is just I think it's brilliant. We boast about the MCU in general, how they went from Iron Man all the way to Endgame, and how they fit everything together through over 20 films, and that's amazing enough. But they planned those 20 films. They planned the whole story arc. They did not plan this until the last couple of years, and to have them throw that together so beautifully and maintain all of the fun, but also those emotional moments, and really make you feel like they make you feel something for the past two Spider-Mans, and they make you. And
the fact that those actors pick up, I was going to say, all of them. It's like they're exactly as they
are
were
their
in their
characters.
movies.
Yes.
Well, and that to me was the greatest, part of the films. Was just the amount of attention to detail to their individual versions of Spider-Man, but how they all had the same essence of Spider-Man. Like they're not evidence. Wake me up inside.
That's something that would have played.
Somebody say, they would have played that at the end
of
of
the way home now.
Amazing
was
Spider-Man
it?
or Smallville or
I think
something.
I think at the end of Spider-Man 2,
They had Hoobastank and
that was it. That was Hoobastank. Hoobastank was Spider-Man 2.
Me and my son just watched
was
the
that?
first and second one.
For a
So we're
hero to save me.
I'm not going to that. That was in.
But no, I thought it was amazing how they kept the essence of who Spider-Man the character was, but then they still gave each of them their individual personalities that they brought to the table to provide. I mean, it really was a perfect combination of all three of these characters encompassed all the different aspects of Spider-Man, and you really see that in terms of the individual directions that the characters were given through their individual film series, but then also bringing themselves together in this. And of course, to cap it off at the end, again, not spoiling too much, but when you hear Tom Holland just saying, like, I need to, he's trying to explain himself, and they end up just saying, we know.
Yeah.
It's what we do.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a
That's what we
perfect
do. Yeah,
way
I
of,
love
you don't
that
need
line.
to explain it. We get it. And I just, it was fantastic. Absolutely. It was pleasing.
Yeah.
throughout.
Well, I would say even outside of like just Spider-Man going into the MCU at large, it does make me look forward to more now a little bit to see what John Watts is going to do with Fantastic Four, because I mean he's moving from Spider-Man now to doing that movie, and it's like, okay, like Fantastic Four is a series that keeps getting messed up, so maybe with John Watts it'll be in good hands.
Well, and I was going to ask you all, because with regards to this film, and I guess, look, we've kind of bashed on the MCU leading up to this. I mean, we had
you have.
I don't know
fine.
if we've necessarily bashed it.
No. I'll admit it.
We definitely,
Eternals.
No, I'll bashed it.
Yeah, we
I'll
haven't
admit
been extremely satisfied with it so
right.
far.
But I'll admit, I've not been impressed with this phase.
Eternals sucked.
Yeah,
Yes.
Eternals, but I did like Black Widow and Shang-Chi. I like Shang-Chi a lot.
Shang-Chi, yeah.
But even still, I have not seen any movie, and even this one for the sake of, its purpose within the Marvel Universe. I don't know exactly what that is. All I know is that it gave me a good end cap on what I have seen as far as the last 20 years of Spider-Man and where it began and how, it kicked off the superhero craze and then putting a nice bow on just the stories we've had so far.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I don't know what this means for the entirety of the MCU, because it kind of encompasses, or it encapsulates that definitive, version of, okay, this is really Spider-Man's story.
Yeah.
This doesn't really tell the broader story of what the MCU is, other than having connection with the multiverse.
And I don't think they're focused on a larger whole right now. I think they are just focused on the individual movies. Kevin Feige's kind of said as much.
I was going to say, and that may be fine for this kind of movie because it has so much weight behind it and it did deliver.
Yeah.
But for something like, I hate to say it, the others that I've seen, and again, I'm on this Shang-Chi. It was fine. I enjoyed it. But I've not seen anything of the caliber after Endgame that has made me so wanting to continue on this journey of where they're going. I haven't had anything put its hooks into me. And even this film, as it did so on the emphasis of being kind of that end point of what I've seen through Spider-Man.
And I completely get that. It's one of those things where I'm satisfied. Like, I'm not looking for something more, but I understand why you are. So I think, like, for me, I'm just happy because I just enjoy the comics, so I'm happy to see these stories on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for some of the bigger events.
They did kind of, kind of set a bar with
Endgame, yes.
With Endgame,
yeah.
and Iron Man, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame are the four best films.
And I feel like they're going to have more of those, but they're taking their time to build up to it again.
I understand what Brandon's saying. Honestly, though, this is not only is it the culmination to, a couple of decades of Spider-Man, but it is really the first one so far of this new phase or whatever that's kind of got me excited about how much further, how high are they going to set the bar,
right?
And so
well, I mean, we'll see. We have a lot. Most of the ones coming out now are all sequels, so we'll have to, like, Doctor Strange is next. Thor,
Love and Thunder,
Thor, Love and Thunder, The Marvels, which is the sequel to Captain Marvel, Black Panther 2, and Guardians are like the next ones, and those are all sequels. So,
and I will say, when you mention those are the linchpin, series that I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
Yeah, we'll see what
and if they can
do.
create some, not the same. I'm not expecting the same kind of emotional pull like this one did for me.
I get that too. I know you're not looking for like Endgame itself, but you want to know where they're going, and that's completely understandable. Because
especially because not only has it been the release of the films in the theaters, but you also have WandaVision,
all the Disney Plus series.
You have Loki,
and
you have Falcon and Winter Soldier.
They only give you like a little piece. Like, I really did.
Hawkeye.
I mean, and I do understand people's frustration because I really did think they would jump more like headfirst into it, and they really are still only giving little puzzle pieces. And it's like, you did that through the first 3 phases, and that's fine because you were building up. But at this point, when you've seen it, it's like people want more than just like, here's a mention of the multiverse in this one. Now here's a bigger mention of the multiverse in this one. Now we're getting to, and it's like, no, just do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's at some point you don't need to string us along again for another 10 years, 20 years.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
But I think we're ready now, finally, to move on to our
I'm
next
excited
review.
to talk about this one too.
Yeah,
not as good, but I'm excited.
Probably our first, I would say, like naughty review. Oh, Sean's getting ready. He's happy. Let's do it. Let's dive right into. Here's our review of Krampus.
Merry Christmas. This is it. This weekend is Christmas, the most wonderful time of year, a time of faith, love, and joy. While Christmas usually brings out the best in people, and it's always great to see people in the spirit, sometimes people lose the spirit of Christmas. Yes, there are always plenty of Scrooges and Grinches around the holiday, and while those of us who believe are treated to gifts from Santa, there is a legend just as old regarding those who've lost their spirit, those who've been naughty. So it's only fitting that our naughty Christmas review for the week of Christmas itself is none other than Krampus. For many who don't know, Krampus is an old folklore believed to have Germanic origins, with the name derived from the German word Krampen, which means claws. Krampus is normally depicted as a demonic goat-like creature with horns and hooves who sneaks into the rooms of naughty children at night on Christmas Eve, often beating them with sticks before carting them away in a sack to either eat in some tales or else drag them to hell. The folklore began gaining more renown and popularity in the late 2000s, with the idea seeming both terrifying and hilarious to those outside of Germanic culture. The fable grew so popular in America, however, that multiple adaptations of Krampus have been made, including big-budget theatrical films, shows, and direct-to-video B-movies. But it's 2015's simply titled Krampus, from cult horror director Michael Dougherty, the man behind 2007's popular horror film Trick or Treat, that has been most acclaimed and most known. Starring MJ Anthony as Max, a small boy who still believes in Santa Claus, despite everyone around him no longer believing, and his dysfunctional family, played by the likes of Adam Scott, Toni Collette, and David Koechner. Each character in the film represents familiar family stereotypes, from the pretentious and uptight to the Cousin Eddie-style rednecks. Krampus makes a modern showing of a dysfunctional family Christmas akin to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. After discovering Max has a letter to Santa, his cousins read the letter aloud at the dinner table on Christmas Eve, humiliating Max. With the last spark of Christmas spirit finally extinguished in Max, he tears up his letter to Santa, and this final act summons forth Krampus to punish Max and his family for their lack of faith. Krampus is a funny film and has some well-crafted horror to boot. Much akin to Gremlins in its darker tone, and even sometimes in its humor, Krampus is a fun watch for the holiday, though it does have its share of downfalls. While the cast is good and the humor decent, it's never as comical or scary as it could be. Gremlins strikes a perfect tone in horror, comedy, and even sentiment, and Krampus, while doing well in each aspect, never excels in any of them. The film captures the stereotypes each character represents and makes a relatable display of a dysfunctional family as a whole, but the characters themselves aren't as relatable as they could be, never really breaking from their stereotypes. Christmas Vacation, the ultimate dysfunctional family Christmas film, captures stereotypes while still making even outlandish characters like Cousin Eddie feel real. And most importantly, it captures the love of a true family. Krampus has a few decent scenes between characters here and there, but never feels fully authentic. And while the message of never letting the spirit of Christmas die is a good one, and there are so many relatable jokes in the film regarding how much people have forgotten how to love one another, it never made me yearn for how loved Christmas used to be, the way movies such as Elf does when Buddy manages to drum up enough Christmas spirit to save the day. And while Elf and Krampus are trying to accomplish two completely different things, they share a similar message, but only one completely makes you feel it. Krampus is by no means a bad film, but it's not as well done as Dougherty's more popular film Trick or Treat. And while both films are about honoring the traditions of their respective holidays, Krampus just doesn't hit all the marks to make it as timeless in the way Gremlins has become. Even still, I will definitely watch Krampus again, though it won't become an annual tradition by any means. I give Krampus 2.5 out of 4 stars.
Hey, that's not too bad. 2.5 out of 4 stars.
I actually really like this movie. I really couldn't give it more. Like, there's like the characters never break out of their stereotypes, and that just, they have a few moments where they try to do some emotional scenes that I did appreciate, but there just was never enough there that I felt like these were fully fleshed out characters.
Agreed.
And that just was kind of like the biggest killer for me. Like the horror elements are great. Most of the humor is good, though there is a few things.
The production design's
yeah,
on point.
yeah.
All of the
Oh,
creature design was great.
Man.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, like all the horror aspects I thought were
Terrifying,
really
some of
just
it, yeah.
the design, the cinematography. I mean, a lot of it, like showing his silhouette in the fog and stuff. I was like, this is all really well done.
Yeah, so this was actually a theatrical release, right?
Yes,
yeah.
it was.
So it's not your normal
this is
kind of like B horror movie.
It was made by the same guy that made Trick or Treat, which I love. I think that movie's actually better than this one. And it's funny because they kind of have a similar premise in the sense that Trick or Treat, like these people are being killed for like abandoning these Halloween traditions, and of course this is about like people like losing their Christmas spirit, so Krampus comes to punish them. So it is kind of funny that in both cases he's kind of mourning like this sense of what's been lost with these holidays, and I appreciate that too. I just felt like this movie, I didn't get enough of them as a like the family element, like I mentioned they had in Christmas Vacation, for me to feel for them while this is happening. Like I was just like, it's like all these peoples are a-hole and deserve this.
No,
well,
exactly.
And maybe I mean maybe that's why they're being punished.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that was part of the point, but I think what made me kind of angry was that it kind of made sense that as this continued on, they would grow closer, and they show scenes of them growing closer together and then making a pact and kind of realizing the good in one another.
Yeah.
But they don't really stick to any essence of, okay, I've learned my lesson.
Yeah.
It's like they immediately go from, oh, I can recognize that, okay, we have some differences, but we see the good in each other, right back to, but I'm still a jerk and I'm still, an a-hole, and I'm going to stick to my old ways.
Yeah.
And I was just like, again, not to spoil anything, maybe that's kind of the point of the movie.
Yeah.
But I just thought that wasn't set
it's
up
like-
real well if it was.
Like what's her name from 2.5 Men? I don't know the actress's name, but the woman that plays the aunt. Like I thought she was hilarious, but there were moments where like she kind of drops her walls a few times, like when she's like, "Go watch the children."
Yes.
She's like, "I hate children," but then she pauses and she's like, "Okay, I'll do it." And then in the very next scene, she's making them schnapps, and I'm like, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it kind of ruins the whole her being a good aunt. Like the moment where she's like, "Okay, I'll be a good aunt," but now I'm going to give them schnapps.
Well,
and I'm like,
and maybe that plays to the fact
Yeah.
that by the end of the film there is no real redemption.
That's
for
true.
them.
And I guess
So-
maybe that's what I wanted was to see redemption, but
yeah.
that's not really what the movie was going
No,
for.
no.
So
well, I wouldn't have. I would have minded to see the redemption in. Well, okay. For instance, spoiler alert. It came out in
hard.
2015.
It did. It's
I mean, come on. We
it's
got
6 years
This is
old.
a review. We're talking about the end of the film.
Right.
So in the end of the film, it shows that while technically the boy wakes up and everything is as he was or as he expected it to be and wanted it to be,
Yep.
as Christmas used to be in the past, all loving dovey and
Yep.
it's whimsical exactly as he expected it. And you think, oh, this is a happy ending. And of course it zooms out and
'cause
he's
he
stuck in a
apologized,
snow
but
globe.
then-
Yeah, because
Yeah.
again, he had redemption and he had
Yeah.
forgiveness, or so you thought. But then what I hated was if this snow globe world that he's in is supposed to be representative of what he thought he was waking up to, I was almost hoping for there to be a situation of the family members being a little bit more polite and a little bit more, I don't know. I felt like there was still a little bit of an edge that was there that didn't really showcase. I'm just like sitting here and he's all smiling and he says, "I love you, Mom," and they're like, "I love you too. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas," and it's happy. But some of the lines that are said back and forth between them and again, the in-laws are just kind of like
the rednecks.
the rednecks. And again, I get it. I know what he's going for. It's still supposed to be comedic, but it still isn't like familial. It isn't like very heartwarming. It's still kind of a touch of, okay, they're still bastards even in his dream.
I think it was supposed to be like they're still themselves, but their
Now
Christmas
they're-
spirit
now
was
they're
there, and they were
family.
having like a happy family gathering and
I do agree
opening
with that.
presents
I
and all
just
that,
felt like
but-
they stuck solely to their stereotypes a little too much.
Yes.
I kind of
Yeah.
wanted them to be
Yeah.
a little bit more than
More-
just the
more
stereotypes
round,
they
yeah.
represented. But I mean, I did like the humor. Like I did think like the way they used the stereotypes for the humor was spot on. Like I love the beginning where everybody's fighting over all the cells, and then they get to the house and she turns the TV on and the reporter's like, "The war on Christmas." I died laughing.
Yeah. Well, in the
I mean,
opening,
it was all pretty true. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as the social commentary.
the intro was fantastic.
Yes.
Oh,
with
yeah.
them,
Yeah.
with the happy jolly, it's beginning to feel like look
Yeah.
a lot like
like
Christmas.
Christmas,
and
you
you
see
see
people
all
stepping on each other,
loved
trying to
it.
get Black
Yeah.
Friday deals.
Yep,
and all that.
and I thought that was
Yeah.
that's a brilliant way to set the tone in the movie. But with subtlety like that, you don't need a whole lot to go the extra mile. You don't need the forceful nature of trying to make these people seem naughty. And I felt like they went a little too far in the stereotypes to try to make them seem, again, if you want to go that full route of full on making them deserve the retribution that comes, I don't mind that. But you give them a little bit of a bone throughout the movie, like they're learning their lesson, almost as if you do want to forgive them and you want to see them get their Christmas spirit back, only to see that doesn't come to fruition. And I get it. It's a horror film based on Christmas and a Christmas legend. It's not supposed to be a happy ending, but I just wish there would have been a little bit more of a fall from grace if that's the case. Than a giving you that hope of clinging on to redemption.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would actually agree.
The kid at the end, it's kind of like, okay, so you build up this whole instance of basically them not really having a deep love for each other or for family or for Christmas in general, and then the kid offers himself as a sacrifice. And that's when I was kind of like, okay, so if he's offering himself as a sacrifice, then that should...
That's kind of what they said
suffice for something.
Yes.
Because they kind of,
they lead you into that with the folk
They lead you to
The
think
grandmother makes it sound like that's kind of the spirit of Christmas, the spirit of sacrificing for someone else.
Yeah, but then it's like, oh no, that's good for
well,
nothing.
and again, they, out of nowhere, it's just like, no, it's too late. And I'm like,
well,
then it was too late the moment that, they lost the spirit and he threw the letter out the window. And I'm like, well, if there's no chance for this, then at least give me a Slaughterfest at that point. I mean,
it's like if you were going to have it where none of them are redeemed by the M anyway, then why have the whole they were captured instead? Just let them all be killed. I guess, but.
Which I understand the whole capturing thing plays on the idea that
they
got to live this
supposed
misery.
To be like a comedic horror. It's not just straight out horror.
It's a dark comedy.
So I know they try to add they don't want it, I guess, too heavy, but at the same time, still, because the horror elements are great. Like it's not like he chinched on that.
No doubt. I mean, he absolutely, it shows its case in terms of being a AAA movie. I mean, and it is good for that reason.
I watched
the art
this
direction's
movie,
perfect.
I watched this late at night by myself. Yeah. And seriously, when it showed the freaking Jack in the Box thing,
that thing
the
is,
worm, and I saw it gobbling up this kid, dude, if there was a camera on me, I was like,
it was the
mouth
angel that got
gaping
me.
open, couldn't believe what I was seeing.
The angel, yes.
But the angel,
the
when
angel
it first
thing,
shows the angel up in the rafters, I was like, oh my, it scared the crap.
Like the gingerbread men were funny.
Yeah, and I think they were meant to
and
be.
the bear was a little bit step up, but then I don't know why, but the Joker thing.
That Joker thing crawling through the air ducts.
Well, I was going to say, it wasn't until I saw that it was like a snake type thing with this.
It was the Jack in the Box,
yeah. And I'm just like, that was freaking creepy. And the way its mouth separated. It was very good creature design. Very good. And of course, I think we were talking about during the review while it was playing that I like the overall look of Krampus.
Yes.
The facial, I didn't like the tongue. The tongue was the only thing that kind of was a little bit.
The mouth that never moved was kind of odd.
I thought it looked like a stationary mask and not, I would have appreciated. He doesn't even blink, Yeah. So it's like I really wish they would have been a little bit of animation in his face.
But out of all the visual interpretations of Krampus I've seen, Google some other movies with Krampus in it, and they look awful.
I was going to say,
they go full kind of goat looking, and it's just so stupid looking.
I'm nitpicking. I'm nitpicking. I liked the overall design.
I was just going to say, this movie I think has been the best as far as actually making him look scary, because I've seen a few that I'm just like, that's goofy.
Alrighty, guys, there you have it. 2.5 out of 4 stars. Our best
for me
review.
What you got?
2.5.
Okay, Brandon went 2.5.
That's what I
I think I said 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a solid.
So by far our best reviewed.
Yeah, and again, it is actually one I would watch again. It's not one I would make a tradition of every year, but I'd watch it again.
But I think we're ready now to finally move on to our... He's so excited. Let's get into our headlines.
Christmas time.
See, we didn't even plan that. That
just happened.
That just happens.
That's how gay we are.
That's right.
It just happens.
That's how gay we are for each other. Jolly.
Just let it happen.
Jolly
and gay for the
Have
season.
a holly jolly Christmas.
The best time of the year. Come on, Sean.
I
don't know if there will be snow.
That's all I got.
And a cup of... I took it from you.
but have a cup of cheer.
That's it. I'm sorry. I ruined it. Okay, let's talk about our headlines. We're going back to Spidey. We can't stop talking about it. It's huge. It's insane how big this movie is.
Yep.
Because Omicron.
Yep.
Omicron. He's coming down with his Decepticons. That's it. That's what I was going to say. Omicron. He is raining down and keeping people from seeing West Side Story.
I told Brandon I always think of Futurama because there's a planet in that called Omicron Persei 8. So
really?
Well, because it's a
See,
Greek letter.
This was all
It is.
planned.
It's a Greek letter.
So
planned.
But
Every
it's
time
just
I hear it, I'm just like, well, it's just so stupid.
it's so funny that last
Omicron.
week we literally had a report saying that West Side Story was bombing because people were afraid to go back to the
They're
theater.
scared.
No, it's not true.
Yeah, absolutely bunk. I mean,
mean,
here we are literally a
We
week
were
later.
elbow to elbow in a full
200
theater to see Spider-Man.
260 million?
260 million.
Yeah.
Well, they said
They-
it beat
I pulled it.
Endgame.
beat Endgame's opening
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no. Hold on. I think that may be the truth. Hold on. I'm looking for.
No, I saw
Yeah.
an article or read an
I
article
saw
about
the
it
same
beating-
article.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've got the Variety article that I've got linked to here in our headlines. It'll be linked in the description below. It broke 9. It had 9 milestones from its box office debut. I'm going to read what those milestones
I'm
were.
looking at them right now.
Second biggest domestic opening weekend in history, which that's just insane. And of course, let me see. I think which one was the first one? Here, I'll just read. Box office experts. Oh gosh, don't you
Says it
love?
blew past Infinity War, so maybe.
Okay, Oh, so
yeah,
Infinity War.
Endgame was 357 million.
Okay, and then third largest global debut ever at 600 million worldwide.
Yeah, that's huge.
Well, and think about this: Avengers Endgame opened with 1.2 billion.
Yeah.
It crossed $1 billion in its first weekend.
Yeah. Well, they said this could
That's
be
insane.
This could be the first movie since Endgame to break $1 billion at the box office because of the
the
because
pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, it says the first since Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker
Okay, that one.
to
yeah.
surpass $1 billion.
That was the
globally.
last film
Globally,
in 2019
And then
before
in
they
December.
shut everything down.
Yeah,
Yep.
in December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, best start in the Spider-Man franchise, second highest opening day ever, top global opening weekend for Sony Pictures, biggest December debut. It ended up pushing ahead of Force Awakens. Force
believe
Awakens
that.
opened at 529 million.
This is a better movie.
I agree. Yeah, no doubt.
True.
But think about that. Star Wars had been dormant for how many years?
Yeah.
And everybody, we called it on the show, or maybe I did, but I was predicting that Force Awakens at the time was going to topple Avatar because it was episode 7 and it came close.
Oh, I know.
But again,
didn't.
it missed the mark because again, as we've talked about throughout the new trilogy of Star Wars, the American audiences are the only ones who
Yeah.
really care.
Well, and then when
globally,
you get
it
the word
didn't
of
do real
mouth
well.
that it wasn't as big a return to Star Wars as people was hoping for,
It was IMAX's biggest weekend since 2019. AMC Theater's biggest December opening of all time.
Gosh, I wish they'd
best,
go out of business.
Well, we'll talk about them in a sec.
Other than I need my membership, but we will. Yeah.
But and also Cinemark's second biggest opening in history.
Nice.
So there were 9 milestones in that Variety article. I got to find the paragraph. It was kind of funny. They're doing the description of it says the third chapter in Holland's trilogy takes place after Peter Parker's identity is revealed to the world, igniting global chaos and, most importantly, to Peter, causing his best buds, MJ and Ned, to get rejected from MIT. Being framed for murder is one thing, but preventing your friends from getting into college, well, that's too far. And I was like, that kind of does put it into
It does,
a
but
pretty
it also
funny-
fits Peter Parker in the sense that he
a kid.
he worries more about other people than himself.
I mean,
It
your
does,
priorities are
yeah.
not straight when you're a child.
There you go.
That's true, too.
We just explained it away.
Yep.
It's
See,
a good
that's all
movie.
you
Go
needed.
watch it. But
And
no,
and I love that because there's that scene with Doctor Strange where he says it all comes down and he's like, I keep forgetting that you're just a kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that because yes, some of his
he's-
priorities are out of whack.
Well, just like
It's
the
more
joke about it's like you didn't even think to call and appeal your
Yes.
case.
Yeah.
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 No, that's true.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and again, and a lot of the antics are based on
Yeah,
that too.
yeah.
And you mentioned in the review, and I would completely agree. Some jokes are funny, but
Some
others fall
fall flat,
flat.
yeah.
But that's
That's Marvel.
yeah,
Yeah.
true. But at the end of the day, there's no doubt this movie is an absolute huge success.
Oh, yeah.
Completely, just broke all
No,
expectations.
you're lying. Omicron's keeping people from watching it.
That and no, I was gonna say Ridley Scott is
he's pissed
probably
right
pissed
now.
right now.
Well, of course.
He's dropping so many F-bombs. He
Yeah.
doesn't. At this point, I just enjoy watching because
Yeah.
he does everything, like every
He's-
other
he's
word
kinda
out of his
become,
mouth
yeah,
is
he's
the F
kind of
word.
become a running joke right now.
Well, because he's put out 2 movies this year, they sucked. Sorry.
Okay.
I
Oh,
will
okay.
say,
All right. I
The
ain't
movie
gonna.
didn't suck, but it did abysmal in theaters.
Yeah,
There you go.
it did bad. It has gotten good reviews from both critics and
The
audiences,
Last
but
Duel
nobody went and
is
saw
not
it.
a bad film.
There you go.
I
It
don't.
ain't
I haven't
great.
seen it.
It ain't great, but it's not a bad film.
House of Gucci was pretty.
House
dull.
of Gucci was
That's
boring.
boring.
It was boring.
It was-
It was boring.
yeah.
And it was definitely not
It wasn't
worthy
as good
of.
as Spider-Man.
If
I was gonna say it was not worthy to release this month.
But I mean, I'm just.
with what we got.
I'm a dumb millennial, so what do I know?
That's right. You and your cell phones.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're just a dumb millennial
You're an effing dumb millennial.
or an effing idiot?
You're an effing idiot.
Okay,
Yeah.
but no, let's talk about Spider-Man. Let's talk about how great it's not only done at the box office, but ultimately what this kind of speaks to in terms of the messages we have been getting from the naysayers, whether it's from the theaters who want to come up with an excuse, whether it's from the media who wants to put out an excuse, all the news outlets saying, well, people are still scared of COVID. They don't want to go out yet.
No.
The fact of the matter is no, we've been waiting for movies that have been worth seeing. And this one was not only touching on a milestone from our childhoods growing up with Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, but also the fact that all the Marvel movies have done well leading up to this one. But it just happens that this one that came out this year, at the end of the year, happens to be the biggest one.
Well, one, I mean, it's Spider-Man, who is Marvel's most popular character. So, I mean, he definitely pulls in more money, I think, than really any other of their character franchises. But even outside of that, it's like, one, yeah, people are excited at the fact that it's Spider-Man, at the prospect of the past franchises crossing over. So that brings hype and people in. And I think they care more about this movie than something like West Side Story that we've seen before. Whereas, yes, we've seen
it done better.
Yeah, we've seen it done better.
Yeah.
And yes, we've seen Spider-Man before, but we've never seen them do something like this with Spider-Man. So it intrigues people. And the fact is that this movie just focuses on Spider-Man and entertaining people. It doesn't go into all the other bullcrap that
Well,
we've
it
been getting.
focuses on fandom.
Yes.
And that's what people
It
want.
gives fans what they want. It doesn't
Yeah.
try to lecture them or beat them over the head with some, like, even if West Side Story had just been a straight up adaptation of West Side Story rather than trying to shoehorn in certain aspects, people may have received it better. I think people are just tired of being lectured
Yeah.
to.
Well, and not only that, but I think it speaks to greater volumes of another article you linked to us in a message you sent to us today, and we've got it linked in the description below. And that's to I think it was an op-ed in the Independent.
Oh, yeah.
And it specifically
just-
is talking. It's a guy ranting.
Oh, it's terrible.
About how he's jumping on the bandwagon of Scorsese and jumping on the bandwagon of Ridley Scott and just trying to basically say, yeah, all of this fandom that there is behind the Marvel movies, you can't even go and enjoy the movie for what it is because people are applauding or cheering.
Well, he
it.
didn't say the movie was bad. Like, he's not
Yeah,
saying that.
that's-
we're
that's
seeing.
where
he's just pissed that people cheer during the movies, and I'm like, get over it.
Yeah,
You're so
it's
pretentious.
It's okay if they cheer during Spotlight or Moonlight, but
Well, that
it's
was
not
the thing.
okay.
He said he was surprised because at the end of Moonlight, he thought he saw this great movie, and all the people around him were talking about how bad it was, and he called them idiots.
Yeah,
And it's
well,
like-
he put it in parentheses.
in parentheses.
Like, idiots.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, now I know what's wrong with you is that you're so pretentious. Moonlight is great, but people cheering. And what pissed me off the most was he made it sound like they were cheering every 10 minutes. I was like, they cheered at most at like 3 scenes.
Oh no, I know. And
Yeah.
his exaggeration of how you couldn't hear the next line they were saying. I'm like, for one, do you not think, because they know what these films are, do you not think they write certain lines to not be heard because they're waiting for a good pop? And
Oh,
once
yeah.
the pop happens, there's probably a few lines of dialogue they expect
You
are
can
going to be
tell.
mumbled or talked
Yes.
over.
Absolutely.
not-
in the
Come
movie.
on.
Yeah,
The scenes that people
not
cheered
plot
at.
relevant lines or
No,
nothing like that.
there's nothing crucial.
You can
at all.
100% tell the scenes that people cheer at, they were designed with that in mind because you could tell, just like the scene with them all at the table in their apartment when people cheered, that there's a good pause there after a certain character catches a brick, that it's like they knew people
Or
were going to,
there were some times when there was a joke that fell flat, and you could tell the few lines of dialogue weren't important because they were expecting it,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't where
didn't happen.
it wasn't there. But ultimately, the problem I have with someone like that who's complaining about the fandom is I'm like, then don't go opening weekend.
Yeah.
It's your freaking problem.
Yeah.
Who do you think's
No,
going to
people
show up
should
on opening
shut
weekend?
up and just quietly watch the movie and not emote or
What?
say anything.
And you're right, that does change. If you saw this movie 2 weeks after it was released, you're not gonna
You're not
hear
gonna get the
that-
huge
No, you're
fans.
not gonna get that reaction from people.
But I mean, I always have
Except
fun.
for like the third-time viewers or
Yeah.
fourth-time viewers.
Yeah,
But that's one of those things where I was actually really excited that we had, because it's been so long since we've
Yes.
been in a theater where we
Where
had
something
reactions
like that happened,
and
yeah.
I got excited that people were cheering. It's like, this is fun. It's
See,
like
and
Yep.
that's what
it's
really
a bunch of fans enjoying what they went to see.
that's what
Yep.
really pisses me off about someone like that guy who has that attitude. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, he probably would even speak up to that being a whole nother issue of, well, and that's another thing. The crowds are just so large, and you should be worried because are they vaccinated? Are they
It's a
not? They're not
super
checking
spreader
the
event.
cards. It's a super spreader event. Oh my gosh! Oh my god! No, the problem is that people finally don't give a crap about the disease or the pandemic because it hasn't been relevant for the last year since the vaccines have been available, and the fact that people are still going on about another variant that's easily able to be caught but isn't nearly as deadly as the initial variant to begin with.
Yep.
People are just freaking out and raising hysteria for no reason. And so when you have a moment like this where it felt good to see people come out and say, screw this nonsense we've been putting up for the whole last year, and I'm finally ready to get back to some kind of normalcy. And again, we were kind of complaining about it standing in line, but I took a picture and I had to post it on Instagram because I was like, thank God people are getting out of their homes and supporting not only theaters, but supporting, just going and actually enjoying being with others to enjoy this.
I wasn't complaining about how long the line was. I was happy to see the line was long. I was complaining about how poor management was at getting people
no
through,
doubt.
getting people through the line,
Well,
especially when you have an A-list membership.
Right, when you're supposed to kind of be taken first. Yeah.
Well, you all took some special pictures that we're
I
gonna
still have
probably
have
gonna
those.
put up on our
I-
Instagram of
I do need to post
AMC
those.
and
I took pictures of like every bathroom stall in them. It was disgusting.
Oh, it
was-
is. It's terrible.
was.
well the tickets.
Because I was going to send them. I'm going to send them to AMC and be like, "What's going on
Well,
here?"
I'll send you mine. And you can
yeah, we'll
just put
include
them all
it.
together.
Because
yeah.
I told Keith, I said we don't have a huge outreach, but what little push? I mean, if you put it out on social,
Well, Sean
I have a
had
feeling
mentioned
people will
maybe
actually.
emailing AMC or something before, and then when I went in the bathroom and saw it, I was like, I agree with Sean. We should. We
Yeah.
should.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I felt like it would maybe, I don't know, make us sound like way bigger than we are. But if I or one of us individually sends them something, it's probably going to get brushed under the rug. It probably would anyway. But I thought maybe it would, carry a little bit more weight if you're sending it from a production company and saying like, we talk about your theaters on our show every week, and this is how we're rating it.
Yeah.
Like, this is terrible. So if we could send something from Red Moon, I think it might.
And it's funny because we've
heard
promoted
a
their
little bit
A-list
better,
members.
but-
Like it's like we promote your A-list membership
All the
all
time.
the time.
All the time.
We just get tired of going to a theater that looks run down, and when you talk to
Well,
management,
and
they treat you like crap.
In that Variety article of this being the biggest release that AMC's
AMC,
had,
yeah.
I'm just sitting here thinking, there's no excuse then for your theaters and for you to be the largest chain globally to be. I mean, maybe that is the excuse. Maybe you just are spread too thin.
like mold growing on top of the urinal.
I
I have a picture of it.
It's like the urinal cake is actually a cake now. It looks like it's got icing
Well,
on it.
I think it was Sean. You sent us
that yeast
Oh,
growing.
you didn't send us a picture, but you told us that your wife, or no, it was you who said that there was a ticket stub in the
Yeah.
the
No,
stall.
Yeah, no,
Amelia.
she went to the
Oh, it
bathroom.
was?
Yeah, there was a ticket stub in the toilet. And the ticket stub, the date on it was from like a week prior.
That's
and
insane.
it's still sitting in the toilet. So it hadn't been flushed in a week
That's gross.
or cleaned out.
just gross.
And the picture I sent of the urinal had like 13 people's pubic hair on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on,
That's
like
gross.
if you clean that every night, it wouldn't be
No,
like that. Like
no.
There were a
They
couple
don't.
empty Coke bottles around one of the toilets in the stalls, and I'm like, I want to come back in a week and see if those bottles are
Yeah.
still there or not.
it's
I wouldn't be
disgusting.
surprised.
It is. It's disgusting. Alrighty,
But
guys.
even that didn't keep people from coming to the theater to see this movie.
No, it was packed.
Look, we could continue on with bashing AMC or even talking about Ben Affleck and his terrible character.
He's
and
horrible.
He blamed Jennifer Garner for being an alcoholic.
Okay.
But we're not going to do that.
You don't want to talk about Alec Baldwin's search warrant?
There you go. There's another. They're just such Debbie Downer topics on a week supposed to be full with joy.
Yeah.
So I want to move on to a fun topic
Yeah.
in our story time
I think we
segment.
should.
There's just so much news going on these days, but we want to focus on some of the jolly this week. So yeah, let's get into our story time segment.
It's story story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
Ha!
That
I
was
like
loud.
stories.
You do?
Yeah.
I like stories too.
Please, Papa, tell me a story.
You gotta come over here and sit on my lap, son. Yeah.
Bad touch, bad touch.
Bad touch.
What do you want for Christmas, little boy?
I'm waiting.
He's dead.
What? Santa's dead?
Dang.
You killed
I'm not
Santa?
That wasn't Santa.
You said he's dead.
yeah, the little
He
boy.
being
he's
Santa.
dead.
little boy's
Oh.
The
dead.
little boy's dead.
Santa got him.
He yelled out bad touch
Wow.
and nobody saved him. That's what happens.
It's like a 5-second rule. He's gone.
It's
Oh
gone.
my God.
That was Krampus.
He
Krampus
drove him
was
straight
frozen.
down the hill.
It's a
Krampus. 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 Like, I got a cramp. It's like
that's what you call your girlfriend. when
it's
she's
like if
going
you
through a
don't
period.
do your
You're like, oh God, are you Krampus this week? Oh my God.
That was pretty good.
Evil Krampus.
All right, let's talk about some last minute gifts, guys.
Jeez.
yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
our story time
Oh,
segment.
I forgot for a moment.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Do you have one? You said you had one for both.
All of my stories are last minute. I don't pre-shop. I tell myself every year, buy stuff throughout the year because one, it's cheaper, and two, like you get it done early.
That's true.
And then every year, like at the end of November, I'm like, crap, I gotta get Christmas gifts. And used to could I'd get on Amazon and I'd have them all in 2 days. But now Amazon's so shit.
Amazon has turned into the AMC toilets.
Amazon
so this
is
year,
eBay now.
Yeah. So actually, here's the funny thing. I actually go to Spencer's Gifts a lot because of certain like interest my nieces and nephews have. Like you can get a lot of pulp culture type of gifts for like
You can get fake poop
Sure
there
you
too.
can.
you can.
That's what I think of for Spencer's
Yeah,
gifts.
they have fake poop, but
Like
they
I
have
think
get
it
fake
way
poop
worse.
or sex games.
that's the
Yeah.
back of the
Something
store.
like
The
that.
front of the store, they have hats and mugs and different collectible items for like anime and TV shows and stuff like that. Same thing as Hot Topic or FYE, but I go to Spencer's because they're cheaper. Because I actually did check out all three, and I'm like, why is like the same thing they had at FYE and Hot Topic for $20? I got for $8 at Spencer's. So screw the other two places.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyways, I'll go there and get a bunch of stuff. But if I can't find stuff, I use Amazon now as the last resort. And this year, I got on there and I did all my Christmas shopping last Thursday. That's how last minute it was.
I'm surprised you were able to walk out with anything.
Oh no, they have the stores are full of stuff. It just depends on what you're trying to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legos, no go.
No,
There
no
you go. No.
Here's the thing.
Depends on what's in demand, I guess.
I am really good with gift giving because I know like what people like, and then I just like I'm good at it. But I'm really good at last minute doing it and find it's like crap because everything is hard to find. Like I'll get on Amazon and try to find something Steelers related for like David and Sharon because they like Steelers, and I try to get something like that for them every year. And it's like all sold out. NFL stuff everywhere sold out. So it's like I got to be creative. But I got on there this year, ordered some stuff for a few different people. And most of it came on Saturday and Sunday. But there were two gifts, one for my brother Reggie and then one for my niece Kaylee, that Amazon sent me an email. Like it was actually the same exact day I ordered it. Like just a few hours later, they sent me an email. This package item was missorted and now it's going to be late. We don't know when it'll arrive. I was like, oh, gee, thanks. And then it's like, in order to ensure the fastest delivery, we handed your package off to UPS. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they give you a tracking link. You go to UPS, and UPS is just like, we don't know.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it just says like tracking. It's like, we don't know the date of this delivery. We'll
Yeah.
notify you when we do. It's like, thanks, UPS.
How does it have a tracking number if I can't track
Well,
it?
here's the
Well,
best part.
when they print it, it's generated.
They printed a
tracking
label.
number,
It's like
but
that's all it says.
they don't
Here's-
know when it's going to be there
Yeah.
until it's picked up.
It's like tracking number. We printed a label for your package.
That's it.
And that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then for like 3 days, it just said
We printed a label.
label.
for your
And I'm like,
package.
it took you 3 days to print
Yeah.
the label and sort like. So they did arrive today. And Amazon, it's funny enough because Amazon's like, we're so sorry your package is in late. You don't know when it's going to arrive. We'll refund you. I was like, okay. And then the package came today. And I was like, okay, that's even better. So,
That's when it all works out. That's Amazon working out.
I
But
don't know
here's
how
the
they
thing.
stay in business because they give away stuff all the time.
Oh, I know.
yeah.
Well, most of the time, I will say, like, if it's the independent vendors, they want to make sure that they can have a good rating on Amazon.
yeah.
So they'll typically give away, like, to make it right if they sent you
Yeah.
the
Yep.
wrong thing or something.
Yep.
But ultimately, I mean, we all know you're not supposed to wait till the last minute.
No,
and I
you're
will
not.
applaud, like, I mean, my parents were always the ones, they literally had it down to, like, within pennies, how much each, the presents cost between me, my brother, and my sister. They also got the shopping done, like, the weekend either before or right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
They were always, like, early, beat them to the punch. They wanted to be done, and that was it. In fact, they even said, you have to give us your list by Thanksgiving or you're not getting anything. Like that's the way it's been as an adult. So it always made sense that, they had everything planned from the outset. Because again, I understand for them it's more of a headache, when you are rushing at the last minute. For us, again, a guy thing, it's kind of like, we're getting our friends or our family something. So we kind of string it along.
As frustrating as it is, I also kind of have fun doing it because then I'm just like in the mall, like the week of Christmas, like scrounging around and fighting people, and then I get to reenact.
So have you ever had a specific instance though where it like either didn't work out or you had a gift that was like, oh, this is the best one ever, and you got it because it was last minute? Like you have like a specific one?
I've never had it not work. Like I've never like not been able to find something. So, and I mean, I have like had a few where it's like, oh, this is awesome. And I mean, I can't.
And then the
like,
person was like, oh, this sucks. I hate it.
I've never had that happen either. Because my family's polite, so they're just like,
Even if they don't like
yeah,
it, they pretend they
pretend.
do.
They've never told me they hate it. Maybe they have, but
Yeah.
they're, at least
Sean,
they've lied to my face about it.
It makes you feel good.
Yes.
Sean, what about you? Have you had any
see,
specific?
I don't do a lot of last minute shopping except for the stocking stuffers. Like that's the one thing that I always
I don't stuff
forget.
stockings,
See,
so.
we do, and it's
my
like
parents do, yeah.
it's like it's like all of us have a stocking, and it's like Amelia will usually take the boys and they'll get my stuff, and then I'll take the boys and we'll get her stuff. But it just seems like every year I think of everybody else's gift. I think of all of it ahead of time. I get it. It's usually here, with plenty of time to spare. And then it's like that freaking night before Christmas Eve, I'll end up thinking about, oh crap, like I didn't get anything for her stocking,
Right.
And it's just like she does the kids' stocking stuffer, so I don't have to do theirs. Otherwise, they wouldn't get any.
It's the guy thing, yeah.
Yeah, it is. So I'm always out like at the last minute trying to get
But
the
it's like
stuff to put in
what
her
is
stocking.
really going on in our heads, or is it the lack thereof? Because that's more so what it is for me.
Lack thereof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I have other things I'm worried about. And I hate to say this, but it really is kind of like I'm in the same boat as you, Keith, although probably not as good as you. Like, if I really sit and think about it and I stew on, what this person means to me and what'll be a meaningful gift, I can really come through.
Yeah.
But there's often times where, and I hate to say it, it sounds terrible, because I don't look at it like, oh, I'm going to do this one awesome thing on this one day and
Yeah.
it's going to mean everything. I
Yeah,
do that
yeah.
for probably like, I'd hate to say it, but like not lesser known individuals,
Yeah,
but people I'm not as close to.
I don't get like overly exact. Like it's not like I spend a lot of money getting these crazy gifts. I just
Right.
get things that I know it's like they'll enjoy.
It's sentimental and it means something
it-
coming from
you
from
know.
me to that person. But it is funny because it's like I just have to take the time, and
Yeah.
and ultimately that's really what matters in terms of a good gift is you've taken the time.
Yeah, right.
And it's like I find myself every year in the same boat of like, oh, I mean, I love it and I hate it, but I love getting Christmas cards in the mail. And
Oh,
we have
yes.
some wonderful friends that do this
And
every single year.
Every year I keep saying I need to do this. I need to send
yes.
out cards, and I never do.
And I never do.
Yeah, I don't either.
My problem, my
See?
problem is
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
don't
a
do
massive
cards.
procrastinator, and then we get to like the week of Christmas, and I'm like, well, crap, I can't
They won't get there
procrastinate.
now.
It's like I got,
No, yeah, exactly.
it's like I got time for that. I got time for that. Then it's
And
like,
I
yeah.
know the
It's
people
like, I don't
that
have
I'd
time
be,
for that.
I know the people I'd be sending them to would also be like, no, of course, it's not about getting something in return.
Yeah.
You don't have to send us nothing. But I'm still like, but now I feel bad because
Yeah.
I love you too, and I want you to know that I care. And
Another thing
you
for
know.
me too is also trying to like save money to the last minute. I'm just save up money. So and then it's like, well, crap. Now I got to go do this thing. So
oh, that's the worst. The worst is I don't have any money before Christmas. Then we get around Christmas and I've worked overtime or something, and I get some money, and I'm like, ooh, what am I going to do with this extra
buy
money?
Christmas gifts.
Well, that's the problem. Is then I'm like, well, it's too late to buy Christmas gifts.
Brandon's like, I got all this extra money. I'm gonna go
It's
buy
like,
myself
I'm not
stuff.
gonna be generous this year.
That's pretty bad.
At least,
I
you
try.
know,
I
buy
do.
'em-
I
buy 'em-
try to, you
buy 'em
know.
a Snickers or something. It's like, here, mom.
I get my parents and my siblings something. We
Well,
usually
yeah.
We do
You don't get your nieces
actually.
and nephews anything?
I do.
Okay.
But it's more of a general, hey, contribute this much. This is what we're getting them.
yeah.
And ultimately, too, as far as like
Chip and them buy it.
Chip and Wendy will buy presents that they've asked Amber and Jeff what like my nieces and nephews want, and
Yeah.
then vice versa, same thing.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to us as siblings, we used to do it where we would draw names out of a hat, and then we were just like, why not? Why are we buying something for the other person when all of us really are like going to buy the same amount of money gift? And
Yeah.
it was just like, okay, there's no reason to do this. We're not going to buy each other gifts, and that really is what we settled on. And the
You
only
just give
people
each other money.
well, then exchange like, okay, we each get $30.
Yeah.
And then we just give
exchange
$30.
Shop it around. Yeah.
But no, we do get our parents a gift. We
It's
all
about the
contribute.
sentiment.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't tell them how much I spend on them. They don't tell me how much they spend on me. We just,
Which and there's nothing wrong with that.
Somebody got an $8 gift this year. I said that on the podcast. That's all they know.
Now they're gonna know.
Yeah.
I got that $8 Swiss Army
But they
knife.
don't know which. But
not
they
a
won't
real
know.
one, then.
They won't know which one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll know. They'll open that up and be like, "Yeah, it was $8."
They won't. Can't tell. It's like they all look like they could be around the same price range.
That's
I'm
good.
good at that too.
That's good shopping.
Oh, I used to love. I used to. I remember going to the Dollar Tree when I was younger, and my mom and dad would give me an allowance for buying gifts.
Oh, yeah.
But I went there to buy. Like I remember getting my dad a screwdriver from there once.
Yeah.
I got
Them
I
Dollar
think-
Tree screwdrivers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, man.
You used it once.
Hey, you know what?
And then it broke.
He kept that thing for years
Oh, yeah.
before it broke. I was like, hey, this is good quality.
Sometimes, yeah.
Either that or he never used it.
I bet now they're probably lifetime warranty. It's $1.25.
A lifetime warranty now.
It's funny because see, the Dollar Trees in Louisville are still only $1.
They
so-
are.
there we go.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But no, my niece did that one year. She got one of those. I love you, Elizabeth. Never used it. It was sweet sentiment though. She got one of those selfie sticks
Oh yeah.
that had the like lightning cable on the end, and you could hit the
Oh,
button.
yeah, yeah.
And it was. I mean, at the time, those were all the rage.
That's
so
cool.
it made sense. But I just was never that person. So I
yeah,
kept
yeah,
it,
don't
of
do
course.
selfies.
But
Well, my nephew Jared once, they did a little school thing. He got me this screwdriver, and the handle was designed to look like a football, but you could open it up and it had all the bits inside. And I actually did use that for a long time,
yeah.
just because it was handy.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the handle was kind of cumbersome because it was a freaking football, but
I mean, I don't know. I like to think
but
that
no, it was a good gift. I did like it.
it's like I do last minute Christmas shopping. I just don't. Typically, it's a hey, how much did you pay for that? I'll chip in. that's my Christmas
They put
shopping.
your name, they sign your name on it too. Wow.
That's right. That's how you get your name on
Nice.
there. Alrighty, guys. I think that's gonna do it for this episode. of the
Yeah,
Red
I'm
Moon
sad
Podcast.
because
Why?
here's the thing: Christmas may be over next week, but we do still have one more Christmas review.
Indeed, we do. Do you know what that Christmas review is, Keith?
I don't know. I think Sean knows. He's been waiting for this one.
Have I?
Yeah,
You mentioned it.
Snowman.
Oh, yeah. Frosty?
That's it.
Jack Frost.
Jack Frost.
Jack Frost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
went from naughty Christmas to just jolly right
Yeah.
after.
Yeah, we just Frosty Returns. We're reviewing Frosty Returns.
I would
That's
just,
a Christmas
bomb.
I'll go ahead and say that it's not Krampus. It's not Krampus.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I thought it was the Michael Keaton version. That's another Jack Frost.
That one's not a horror.
That
though.
no, that one's that's a
this
family
is the
movie.
horror
It's not
Jack
meant
Frost.
to be a horror anyway. It's like Frosty Returns. It's like that's not a horror movie, but it's
No,
terrifying all
This
the
one's
same.
pretty bad.
But
I
this
have
is the
seen Jack Frost.
1997
Yeah.
Jack Frost horror film.
I think this is the oldest one we're reviewing this year. So
Really?
That's crazy.
yeah, because all the other ones came out in the
Ginger
2000s.
Dead Man. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It just looks cheap and
Yeah.
It's
old.
terrible.
It looks
You
like
know what's
an
going to be funny is
80s B movie.
if Jack Frost, as bad as it is being a B movie, it'll be funny if the special effects are better.
Oh, no doubt they will be. Because
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it released in theaters. I think even 1997
I think
special effects will be better than Ginger Dead Man. Alrighty, guys. As you always know, you can catch us here live every single Tuesday, 9 p.m. on
He needs a
Facebook
little
and
Christmas
YouTube.
button.
Oh,
Like Jingle
Too late
Bells
now.
I
or
could.
something.
Yeah, it's too late. That ain't happening.
That's kind of no point this year.
No.
But you know what you could do? You push that
Email
button.
us?
That's it. Push that send button
Send button?
on our email. That's it.
That's
It's
it.
growing.
Okay.
That's the pipe. He goes down the
That's
pipe.
yeah. It's sewer.
That's why it's
Oh,
like the send.
sorry.
It's like you're sending it through the pipe.
Oh,
Yeah.
the internet
Send it
pipes.
through the pipe like a big old turd.
That's the
You've
growth.
received it. You've got mail.
That's when he gets a mushroom.
That's the growth. But RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com. Right there at the bottom of your screen. Tickle, tickle. I can't get around that.
Tickle,
There it is.
tickle.
It's like Gary Busey.
Yeah, kitty.
Kitty. Meow.
It was so terrible.
RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com.
It was beautiful.
I just wanted
Just
to get it out
beautiful.
there.
Wow.
That's going to do it this week, though, for our show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, you can catch our final Naughty Christmas review next week, but we're also reviewing another great movie coming out, maybe. Who
Oh,
knows?
are we?
We don't know if it's great.
We don't know if it's great
We
yet.
don't know. We don't know.
It's been resurrected.
Oh,
And it's another big A-lister on the block.
I'm hoping.
This month has been packed, guys. It's been huge, and next week's no different.
I mean, yeah, because
Even after Christmas, we still got presents.
Matrix and the Kingsman next week.
Dang, gone!
And then there's the limited release of Licorice Pizza and Joel Conan's Denzel Washington Macbeth. So,
Yeah. You got A Nightmare
From
Alley
one,
just
from
just
one
released.
half of the Coen brothers.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro back on the scene.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Macbeth is
So
on
much.
HBO Max.
Oh, is it?
It's on one of the streaming. You can watch
Oh, I didn't
it
think it was
now.
out yet.
Yeah, I think you can watch it
Okay,
now.
I'm gonna check that out
Well,
because
We shall.
I like. Well, like I said, it's only half of them, but I do like the Coen brothers, and I like Denzel. So
No doubt. Absolutely. But yes, tune in then for our continuing Naughty Christmas reviews. And of course, that'll be our final week, but also another major review of The Matrix. That is next week. Until then, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
why are the siblings splitting? The Wachowski, only one Wachowski's making Matrix, only one Coen's making Macbeth. It bothers me.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.